Since Daf Yom Yerushalmi Orlah and the article of Hadashim we're really supposed to start on Daf Lamed Beis Lamed Aleph after the Mishnah because we did the Mishnah yesterday. But let's go back to Lamed Aleph and Beis and do the Mishnah again quickly. And also in the Vilna, it's supposed to start in Tezayin Aleph the top line. But let's go to Tezbah and Beis and read the Mishnah again quickly. So the Mishnah said Chatich shel kachim shel pigul shel noiser. We have three pieces: kachim, pigul and noiser. Shenizbashim chatichos, which are cooked together with chulin meat. Also zarim. It's also zarim because although they're different isurim, but the minimum common denominator is that they're all also zarim. And mutter kwanim and mutter kwanim because kachim mutter kwanim. Rishim matir zarim kwanim. Rishim says it's all three shemos, so they have a name mitzaref and it's mutter or im for zarim. What's a kachim? It was just a kachim kam. She's bashim basar taiva. You have kachim kam, which are tohar, which got cooked together with basar taiva with chulin meat. So the kachim kam is mutzah lazarim. So what's the minimum common denominator between the two? They should become asar the tmeim, because tmeim now are bonus. Mutzah Torah is mutzah for Torah. Okay, so now the Gemara says Tani shel pikul v'shel noiser should say shel kachim kalim. Okay, the Gra Noam Yerushalmi Chatzon Shalei B'Sham will change Vishel to Shel. Okay, so the ratio of our Mishnah say about Pigul Noiser of Kachim Kalim. Why? Amar Rabbeinu said Lo Amar Kachim Kalim. It's specifically talking about Kachim Kalim and not Kachim. Now let's explain why. Because Rabbi Shimon not argue in a case where they're the Pigul Noiser Kachim. Because just because they can Pigul Noiser, they don't lose the status kachim. They have additional isser on them, but they have a pigul or barnosa, but they're kachim. And kachim are also lizarim. So therefore, it's not three shemos. It's really one shame. He would not have argued. The only time he's going to argue is if there are separate shemos. Pigul and noiser of kachim kalim are separate shemos than kachim. And we're going to explain why. But now, first of all, we do understand why. If they're all three kachim, they're all kachim. What happened to be bigger and what happened to become nicer, and one of them remained regular kachim, but they're all kachim. Okay, so in that case, Rabbi Shimon would not argue. He only argues with kachim with pigul nicer of kachim. Now Rabbi Yonah explains the brisa, but in order to understand Rabbi Yonah, we have to give an important introduction here. If you eat kachim kachim kalim before his rikas dam and you're a zar, you're over the mitzvah saseh. Mitzvah saseh you learn from Dvarim Yud Beis Chav Zayin dam tzvachach yishapech mizbach Hashem elkecha v'abasar tochel. First sprinkle the blood, then you can eat the meat. So that is a mitzvah saseh. First sprinkle the blood, then eat the meat. Before that, it's also to eat. But there's no lav on a zar eating it. It's a mitzvah saseh to wait until after his rikas dam. There's no lab which specifically pertains to Zorim. The mitzvah lo say which asks achilas kachim for Zorim is learned that from Zor lo yochal ki kodesh heim, and that applies both before and after Zrika. It's of course before Zrika. There's initially the mitzvah say you can't eat because after Zrika Adam, but the lav of Zoros Zor lo yochal applies to kachim also before. That the first because of them. So now we have an interesting difference. Kachim kalim was mutter for zarim, not as I say, but there's no lav for zarim. Yes, even if it comes pigul or noisar, now it has a new isser. Pigul or noisar, a new isser, which makes it a lav for anybody to eat. But there's no specific lav for zarim. Kachim start off with a lav for zarim before they got the additional lav of pigul and noiser. Okay, so now, before we see it inside, so we can understand why Rabbi Shimon would only argue in pigul and noiser kachim kali. They're a different shame than isser of kachim. Kachim is a lav which is an isser zarim. There's no such isser in Kachim Kalim for Zarim. They have a new Isser of Pigul and Noiser. Different type of Isser. According to Rishim Shtayim Shlosh Shemasim, no mitzdarfin. But if they're Pigul Nasa Kachim Kachim, they originally had. That's Isser to Zorim. Before it's because Adam. And later on when they become Pigul and Noisar, there's an additional Isser, but Isser Zorim is still there. They didn't go anywhere. Oh, they're all one shame. This is Zorim. So therefore, Rabbi Shimon cannot be matir in that case of Zorim. So only time Rabbi Shimon's matir for Zorim is in a case where it's Pigul Noisar Kachim Kalim. They're not mitzvah for the Kachim Kachim and Issa Zorim. This says it's a Pigul Noisar, so different Yisurim. Kachim, if they're Pigul Noisar Kachim, all three have Issa Zorim. There, Rabbi Shimon can't argue, he has to agree that they're all Issa Zorim, because vis-a-vis Zorim, it's all one shame. Now we can see Rabbi Yonah inside. Rabbi Yonah, Lo Amar Ela Kachim Kalim. Rabbi Shimon can argue about Kachim Kalim. Pigul v'noisar la'achar zvika, the pigul noisar which come after zvika, lo kalifnei zvika, they're not like the status before zvika, they're a new isser. Lo amar le pigul v'noisar, we're only talking about pigul noisar, davar she'ein zvikaso materes, something where the zvika wasn't matirit, bekachim. That's a bit convoluted, but what he's saying is that lo amar I didn't say that Rabbi Shimon's going to agree to Rabbanan only in the case it's Pigul Noisar where it's because now it's not here, like Kachim where it is, and Issachar, and that Issachar never falls off. This Issachar before, Issachar after the Zvika is not matir. How about Kachim Kalim, right? But in Kachim Kalim, Hoel v'heim mutar la'achar zvika, since they're mutar after zvika, afilu lifnei zvika ain't lokin alei mishum zaros. Since they're mutar after zvika to zarim, you should know even before the zvika, there's no isra mishum zaros, it's only an isra asay. In that's where Rabbi Shimon argues, because he holds it pigul noisar can be a different shame. So he says when he's saying lo amar, he's saying really it's a little bit, like I said, a little convoluted. That which Rabbi Shimon, that which I said. That Rabbi Shimon is not going to argue about Zorim. He only said that by, meaning the Bryson only meant that in the inference. It's the inference because Bryson says explicitly talking about Kachim Kalim. So Lomar, he's not saying that Rabbi Shimon doesn't argue except in the only case of Kachim. In the case of Kachim Kalim, that's where he argues. In our Mishnah is talking about case of Kachim Kalim. The Shaiter still changes the gear some more, but we'll make do without changing the gear some more. Actually, I had to grow also change the gear some more, and again, we're trying to get away without changing the gear, so it's a little bit difficult, but we're trying. Now, Rabbi Yossi is going to argue. Rabbi Yossi holds really there is an Issachar on Kachim Kalim before Zrika Saddam. There is a lav. So I'm not sure where he learns that from, actually. So Yatzko brings down the same pasuk, even though it's going Kachim, since it says so that is going to applies to anything which is Kodesh, including Kachim Kalim, before Zrika Saddam. So according to Rabbi Yossi argues those are Kachim Kalim before the Zrika Saddam do have an Isser to Zorim. And the Zrika is matirit. But the nevertheless, Rabbi Shimon still is only going to argue by Kachim Kalim, Pigul Noisar Kachim Kalim, because there, after Zrika Saddam, the Isser Zorim falls off. Now, of course, by Nosa, that's easy to understand. That's easy to understand because there was a time when it was mutter actually to be eaten, then it became also again a Noisar. But by Pigul, it's a little bit more difficult to understand because Pigul was never matir the meat for achila because he made a Pigul. But Zrika's Pigul is a very complicated concept in Shas, and Zrika's Pigul does have elements of being matir the korban. Not getting into them right now because they get too complicated. So Zrika's Pigul has a chaloshim Zrika. So technically speaking, the Zrika's Pigul, according to Rabbi Yossi, takes off the Isser Zorus, immediately puts on an Isser Pigul. But Isser Zorus fell off. It was effective. Take up this Zoros, even though it's never mutter b'achila because it immediately goes directly into Isser Pigul. So the Zvika does have a Chalei Shem Zvika, but so in any event, the bottom line is, according to Rabbi Yossi, no, Kachim Kalim are also to Zorim before the Zvika Saddam. Zvika Saddam is matter them. Okay, but now at this point, the idea is that Rabbi Shimon is arguing because the Kachim Kalim, since they are mutter after Zvika, but therefore at that point, they the only Isser which pertains to them, Pigul Noiser, is a new Isser. And that's why it's not mitzaref with the Kachim to make it's because Shaim Shlosh Yisurim. He agrees that if it had been Kachim, Pigul Noiser Kachim, the Isser of Zoros remains throughout the entire time. It was never mutter, even after Zvika, and therefore that could not be. In that case, he also agrees that Shimon would hold that the Shem is some side. So the whole machlokes of Rabbi Yoina and Rabbi Yossi is whether the Issers, there is a lav of Zoros before Zvika, which falls off with Zvika. That's Rabbi Yossi by Kachim Kalim. I should have said this way. There is an Isser of Zoros and Kachim Kalim lav before Zvika Saddam, which falls off with Zvika Saddam. That's true according to Rabbi Yossi. According to Rabbi Yoina, there was no Isser of Zoros by Kachim Kalim for Zvika Saddam, only a mitzvah say. It was mutter, so that of course remains afterwards. It was mutter the whole time, but they both agree. That's about the status of Kachim Kalim in and of themselves. But they both are going to agree. There are Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon is only being matir in a case where it's Pigul Noiser Kachim Kalim, not Pigul Noiser Kachim, because that Isser of Zoros was there from the beginning till the end. Okay, so that's why. Again, the Lush Rabbi Yossi is also a bit convoluted here. He agrees. That I agree. That's Rabbi Shimon is only Rabbi Shimon is by Kachim Kalim, specifically Pigul Noiser Lachar Zvika Lo Livnei Zvika Hein. Right. So Pigul Noiser. Well, after Zvika, they're also just like Livnei Zvika. Right. Leiz a Dover Nemar Pigul Noiser. So what is how Pigul Noiser working here? What's the operative issue here? Lotzi Kachim Lachar Zvika. So it means the Pigul Noiser of Kachim Achar Zvika to tell us that they now are a different Isser, Pigul Noiser, and not the same Isser previously of Lifnei Zvika, which will be also Zarim, and it's a new Isser even on something which became Mutter Zarim after the Zvika Saddam. So Halifnei Zvika Saddam, Zvika, but Halifnei Zvika, Halvein Asur Kachim Kalim, it's also by Kachim Kalim, just like Kachim and Lokelim Mishum Zaros. So again, it's a very difficult sugya because they're not arguing in Pshat and our Mishnah. They're arguing about a separate issue. But it sounds like they're arguing about Pshat and Mishnah. They're not. Okay, that's why both Rabbi Yoina and Rabbi Yossi open the same way. I mean, Lomar Kachim Kalim. Rabbi Yossi Lomar Kachim Kalim. They both agree. Our Mishnah is only talking about Kachim Kalim. The whole machlekes is what this has Kachim Kalim is Lifnei Zvika Saddam. So Rabbi Avram said, Lishon Mas Nisin. There's a brisa which seems to indicate Masniso. Sorry, Lishon Masniso Masai Rabbi Yossi. It seems to be arrived from Rabbi Yossi. It says Nidvosecha. Zu Yerushalmi. It says Lo Zuchal Lechol Bisharecha V'Chulei Nidvosecha. Oh, so we found another pasuk. So we didn't know this pasuk. That's why we thought maybe Kodesh also goes on the on Kachim Kalim. But it says no. We have a pasuk, another pasuk with which you can learn Isser Zaros for Kachim Kalim Lifnei Zvika Saddam, which is Lo Zuchal Lechol Bisharecha V'Chulei Nidvosecha. That teaches us that if you like it, if you ate from before Zvika Saddam, even from Kachim Kalim of Nidvo Secha, meaning you're tight on your Shlamim, so Yerushalmi Shibachim Melvnei Zvika Saddam like it. Okay, now, is there a header here in the art scroll? No, just two dots. Okay, Shimon Lokash Machlekes. Now we're talking about the end of the Mishnah now. The Mishnah said that Basar Kachim and Basar Kachim Kalim, which were cooked together, Basar Chulin, they're mitzvah, and they gave it a taste. Basar Zor Teitmei Mutal Torim. So he wants to say Rabbi Shimon argues in even the Sefer. Rabbi Shimon holds that kachim and kachim kam and now it's time to answer even for Tmeim. Okay, machlekes. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Everybody agrees in the state. Even Rabbi Shimon, because all they all have it's the same shame of kachim. He says even though one's kachim, one's kachim kalim, let's say one same of kachim. The kasha of Shimon Lakish. So the we have a kasha of Shimon Lakish. Lo kain 7 meimar. There's a gears to change here. Lo kain 7 meimar kulhon shame chuma mitzdarfin, not lashon chuma. So at the beginning of the parak we said chuma smaiser are mitzdarfin Rabbi Shimon because they have a shame chuma. So here too, kachim kam shim mitzdarfin, they have a shame kachim. The Gra takes out the lashon tuma lashon zarus, and those 4 words. Let's go leave them in. Yeah, he takes them out. Okay, but Tay leaves them in. But the Gra takes out. We're going to go to the Gra the Leib Yerushalmi. So he has instead. It should be the kites. Essentially. Kula, just let me go back in line. Kasha Shimon Lakish. Look at Sarah Mema Kula Shame Truma Mitzdarfin. Beginning of the parak. The Koi Yitzdarf for Kula Shame Kachim. Here the Shulchan and Shame Kachim. What's the difference? So here we'll say which is Savar Rabbi Shimon Lakish Kadod the Tani Bar Kapara. So he holds the answer is Shimon Lakish holds like Bar Kapara, who said here it says Chaticha Shakol Shal Pigol Shal Noiser. But this seems to be the wrong sugya. So the Gra changed that to chaticha shel kachim shel kalim. The chaticha, which is mamish case of our Mishnah. So this brisa, Bar Kapara, says exactly what Shimon Lakish said. So chaticha shel kachim shel kalim. She's bashli mechatichos. Rabbi Shimon mater chaymoitzim. Okay, so the Bar Kapara holds taka, they're not mitzdarif. And the Gra says, Bar Kapara also argued at the beginning of the parak. Bar Kapara would argue and say that which you said at the beginning of the parak, that was not the first mission of the parak, no? Truma smaiser shel mai chal bikurim olimeb echamem it's starting the same zeh. You're arguing that too. Bar Kapara's brisa, which says in our Mishnah there's a machlekes, also holds that according to Shimon they're different shemos, even though they're both kachim. You would hold according to Shimon also in the first Mishnah of Parak, that even though they're all truma, so they're different shemos, same as shemos, and not mitzdarif. Okay, end of the Parak. Hashgacha Truma.